Donald Trump continues to make headlines, and not for the right reasons. Beyond the controversies and the investigations, what stands out most is how often he becomes an embarrassment on the world stage. And once again, he managed to do that himself during an Oval Office meeting with Carney, where Carney firmly pushed back against one of Trump's repeated false claims. The exchange did not go well for Trump, and what followed was yet another public meltdown, a complete disaster for him politically and publicly. We're going to break that down in detail, including how this moment exposed Trump's ongoing attempts to mislead on trade and foreign policy. But before we dive in, if you're enjoying this video, please take a second to leave a like, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. It really helps support the channel and allows us to keep bringing you independent coverage like this. Now, let's start with the moment Trump began attacking Canada and Canadian auto industries, and how that spiraled into yet another diplomatic embarrassment for him.
Canadians are refusing to go to the U.S. The numbers are down like 23% in the first 7 months of the year. What do you say to Canadians that don't want to go to the U.S. now because of your 51st state talk, because of the trade war, the tariffs?
Yeah, well, I understand that. Look, I understand that, and Americans don't want to buy cars that are made in Canada, you know? I mean, we have the same conflict. So there isn't, it's something that will get worked out. There's still great love between the two countries, but, you know, American people want product here. They want to make it here. Detroit was emptied out and moved to Canada, moved to Mexico, moved to other places, not just Canada. And now they're all moving back, you know, they're moving back. We have, right now, I was just telling Mark, we have 17 trillion, but it's really much higher. That was as of a couple of months ago. Yeah. We have over $17 trillion being invested now in the United States as an example.
Now, if you happen to work in tourism, maybe in Maine, Minnesota, Michigan, or even Florida, you've probably noticed something. Canadian travelers just aren't coming to the United States like they used to. A big reason for that is how much damage Donald Trump has done to America's image on the world stage. It's honestly gotten to the point where some people feel embarrassed to travel abroad. And let's be real. With how unpredictable things have become, I wouldn't even be surprised if customs started checking people's phones for what they post about politicians. Remember that story about someone being stopped just because of a picture on their phone? It's that kind of absurdity that shows how off the rails things have gotten. Right now, it feels embarrassing to be an American when our leadership acts like this. You'd think world leaders would want to build bridges, not take shots at our neighbors to the north. But instead, Trump seems more focused on criticizing Canada and their industries, like that somehow helps tourism or the economy. It doesn't. It's just another example of him saying things without really thinking them through. And you can see that especially when he starts talking about trade and competition with countries like China. It all just turns into one long, confusing rant.
Sir, on China, what more can the United States and Canada do together to counter China?
Well, you have to be able to compete. They're a great competitor, and Mark and I both know that, and you have to be able to compete. We have big advantages over China for lots of different reasons, and I think we're doing very well with China. I get along very well with President Xi. I'm going to be meeting him in a few weeks, as you know. I'll be meeting him in South Korea, but we've had a very good relationship for a long time. But you have to be able to compete. To do well with China, if you can't compete, you're not going to do well with China. And Canada is very competitive. I can tell you that. Canada is a very competitive country. And I think Canada's done very well over the years with China.
Yeah, we have. But we'll do better together on that.
So what exactly was any of that supposed to mean? Can someone explain it? Donald Trump goes on about competition, how he travels so much, how everyone supposedly knows and likes him. But what competition is he even talking about? It sounds like he's competing with our own allies. Trump still seems confused about who America's friends really are. He doesn't have many himself. aside from a few questionable figures from his past. And when it comes to foreign policy, there's still no clear or consistent strategy. It's honestly wild when you compare how he talks about adversaries versus allies. Whenever he mentions leaders like Vladimir Putin, he suddenly becomes polite, saying things like, "We just need to get him to the table. We have to be nice." But when it's countries like Canada, France, or the UK, our actual allies, his tone flips completely. Suddenly it's, they've got to pay and it's going to be tough. These are supposed to be our partners, yet he acts like they're enemies. The tariff talk and financial threats, they're just another example of him using policy as a way to score points and boost his image. A political performance more than a strategy. And that's exactly what happened when he tried to posture about Canada, only to get completely shut down.
Azerbaijan, Armenia, disabling Iran as a force of terror, and now, and I'm running out of time, but this is in many respects the most important.
The merger of Canada and the United States.
That wasn't where I was going.
Yeah, that merger isn't happening, Donald. It never was. Mark Carney knows exactly how to handle Trump. Every time he's in the room with him, whether in the White House or during meetings abroad, Carney stands his ground and shuts down the nonsense right away. You might remember the first time he met with Trump in the Oval Office, Carney made it very clear. Canada is not for sale, and we're not going to put up with that. That's the kind of directness more world leaders should use when dealing with Trump's bluster. Of course, Trump didn't take that well. After being challenged, he quickly tried to change the subject to something he thought would make him look strong or confident, which unfortunately led him into yet another divisive topic.
Men and women's sports, basic things. We're not going to take your child away and change the sex of your child. We're not going to do things like that. What they're doing to the country is so incredible, and they got away with it with all their woke crap, and now it's stopped. And
at this point, it feels like Trump is unraveling right before our eyes. Out of nowhere, he shifts the conversation to attacking marginalized communities, spreading false claims, and promoting harmful narratives. It's a disturbing display, and it really shows how detached from reality his approach has become. He's surrounded by people who constantly reinforce his ideas without challenge, creating an environment where bad decisions and extreme rhetoric go unchecked. Watching this unfold is a reminder of how dangerous unchecked power and echo chambers can be, and why it's so important to hold leadership accountable.
I'm getting calls from Democrats wanting to meet. I never even heard their names before, and they're claiming to be leaders. The Democrats have no leader. They remind me of Somalia, okay? You know? And I met the president of Somalia. I told him about the problem he's got. I said, you have somebody from Somalia who's telling us how to run our country. She's from Somalia. He said, would you like to take her back? He said, no, I don't want her. Okay, you know who I'm talking about?
You can see how Trump constantly seems to seek validation for every little thing he does. Meeting a world leader, attending an event, or appearing on television. He treats these moments like personal achievements rather than the responsibilities of his office. This behavior highlights a deeper issue, his growing vulnerability and reliance on constant affirmation. It's a weakness that's becoming more apparent each day and is reflected in public opinion and polling. And if you want a clear example of how these weaknesses are showing up legally, Rachel Maddow recently broke down his latest court losses and the implications for his political future.
That same judge in an emergency hearing late last night told the Trump administration in no uncertain terms that they were obviously trying to defy her order, and they were not allowed to do that. And I say no uncertain terms. Now I will show you what I mean. The judge, Mr. Hamilton, let me ask you, how could bringing in federalized National Guard in California not be in direct contravention of the restraining order I issued yesterday? Trump administration lawyer, Mr. Hamilton. The restraining order issued yesterday, paragraph 1 of it, enjoined implementation of Secretary Hegseth's order to the Oregon National Guard. And this is the judge. Mr. Hamilton, you are an officer of the court. Aren't defendants simply circumventing my order, which relies on the conditions in Portland? Nothing has changed. There's nothing in my order that has changed. Trump administration lawyer. No, Your Honor. The judge. So why is this appropriate? Trump administration lawyer. Well, the reason is that the California National Guard were federalized under a different presidential memorandum. The judge, Mr. Hamilton, you are missing the point, because here it's the conditions on the ground in Oregon that were the basis for my finding that there was not a legal basis to bring federalized National Guard into Oregon. Is there any legal authority for federalizing National Guard for one purpose, that is to help California, and then to divert them to another purpose in a different state, where there's no showing that that is military help that is necessary to assist law enforcement or to protect law enforcement or the one federal building here for ICE? Trump administration lawyer. Well, the judge, is there any legal authority for what you are doing? Trump administration lawyer. Well, this section of the U.S. Code, section 12406, has not been utilized any time in history. So there are not many previous precedents from the use of this authority. But the judge, tell me, why do you think it has not been utilized? Trump administration lawyer, I can't speak to that. The judge, Mr. Hamilton. So again, if it were the case that you could federalize National Guard in one place and simply send them to a place where the president doesn't have authority to federalize the National Guard, then what would the purpose of this section of the U.S. Code be? You have to have a colorable claim that Oregon conditions require it, but you don't. We have already gone over that. So why is this appropriate? Trump administration lawyer. Well, again, no additional California guardsmen were federalized. They were instead relocated from California to the state of Oregon. And the judge. So are they federalized or are they not? Trump administration lawyer. They are federalized, but new guardsmen were not federalized. 200 already federalized California guardsmen were relocated to the state of Oregon. The judge. Let me ask you, Mr. Hamilton. You're an officer of the court. Do you believe that this is an appropriate way to deal with my order or an order that a judge issues that you disagree with? Or is the appropriate mechanism to appeal? Trump administration lawyer. Well, I'm not a policymaker, but the judge. You're a lawyer.
I say this a lot because it's important. Donald Trump wants people to believe he is inevitable. He wants you to think he can't be beaten, that he will win every lawsuit, and that any setbacks don't matter. But that's not true. In reality, Trump is still in some ways bound by the law. He is not a dictator, at least not yet. What could make him one is if we give up, if we stop fighting, if we lose hope. That's exactly what he wants. We cannot give in or capitulate in advance. We have to stay vigilant, speak out, and hold power accountable. That's the work we do here on this show every day. If you want to support this effort, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, and if you made it to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments, and until next time, I will see you soon.